one time. Have you confronted him with those? Have you confronted him with what happened personally?
I had to go into his office on one evening where I had to be with the police department, had me wired up to try and get him to admit what he'd done, and that was the first time that he was confronted with it.
Okay, I think I remember reading about that. Okay. Have you seen or talked to him since then?
I seen him, it might have been a couple of years ago, because the town where I used to be from was small, and I just happened to be in a grocery store with my mother, and he went through the next line, and that's the only time I've seen him since.
Did he see you?
I'm pretty sure he did, yeah.
Did he say anything or do
No.
anything? Just...
He just kind of looked, and that was it.
What kind of scars do you think that's left with you?
It's left scars that I really didn't realize, I guess, in a way of dealing in our marriage. Kind of the attitudes I have towards my husband, because I care about him and I love him very much, but I'm just not the wife, in the sexual sense that I should be to him. And that's caused a lot of problems, and that's one of the things we're trying to work out through the counseling,
Yeah.
Because I think I blame myself for that, so I feel, I don't want to say I feel guilty, but I feel kind of horrible if we do something sexual, and if I think I enjoy it because I feel like I shouldn't be because of what happened, But like I said, that's something we're trying to get worked out.
The death of the two girls, Holly and Christina, how does that, tell me about how you worked through that.
Well, in some ways we're still working through it, because we still think about it quite a bit. There'd be certain times of the year or certain things, that goes on that reminds us of things like that. We really, we just kind of, for a while, we kind of went our separate ways and tried to work on it ourselves. I mean, when I say our separate ways, I mean we kind of didn't talk too much to each other about it, but we tried to work it out on our own. And then we sat down and we had our grieving period. And I don't know, like I said, we're still kind of working on it. Something's not forgotten. There's things that happen, like I said, maybe one week that will remind you, or, and the thing that's in our household is we have 3 boys, but we know that, you feel like there's something missing, because we know we had girls and we don't have girls now. And it's, it just feels like there's a big part missing, the part that we're not going to have, or it's not going to be filled. But
tell me what you remember about Holly's death. Where you were. I've never talked to you about.
Well, Holly's death, I can just, in an afternoon, and Tim's mom and dad were visiting us from Ohio. They had flown to Hawaii for Christmas. And it was 3 days after Christmas. And Tim was getting ready to leave for work, so I put her down for a nap. And the grandparents and I believe Stephen, I'm not real sure. I think he was at the pool with them, I don't remember. And Tim left for work, and some friends called that we had went to school with. They happened to live in the next apartment next to us. Had called and asked, their car had broken down at the mall, which was maybe 5 or 10 minutes away, I'm not exactly sure. Could I come and get them? Because she was due to have a baby, fairly soon. No, I take that back. She'd already had it, but she just had had it. So I said,
they have the baby with them?
So I told them when, my mother and father-in-law came back from downstairs so I could go and get them. So they came back, and I went and got them. And when I got back, I said, I want to guess maybe 10 or 15 minutes at the most. I'm not sure.
After the phone call?
Yeah. I mean, no, after the parents, Tim's mom and dad came up, which that might have been maybe 10 minutes from the phone call. The time we left, I'm not sure.
Okay, so you left about 10 or 15 minutes after his parents came upstairs?
No, I left about 10 or 15 minutes after the phone call that...
Oh, okay.
So they came upstairs.
His parents came upstairs. How long after the phone call do you think?
I'd say about 10 or 15 minutes. It didn't seem like it was that long.
So like you walked out almost as they walked in, is that right?
No, we were there for a little bit because, yeah, because I told them where I was going, and they said, okay, go, don't worry about anything, and all that. So then I left, and when I came back, they were all down in the lobby, and I went upstairs to the 15th floor, that's where we lived. I went through the parking garage, And when there wasn't anybody there, at first I didn't think anything about it because I thought, well, she might have waken up and they all went down either the pool or, they'd been taking on walks in the afternoons. And I got a call up on the phone to come down to the lobby. And when I went down to the lobby, I can remember Tim's dad was upset and crying, and he said it was Holly, and they wouldn't let me see her. They made me go back upstairs. And a lot of that, it seemed like there was a lot of confusion afterwards. I knew something was wrong, and then I don't even remember who told me that she was gone. I don't remember if it was Tim's mom or who it was. I can remember the friends that I went and got. They were there with us at the time and stayed there.
Who did you talk to about this? Did you start the grieving process while you were still in Hawaii, you think, or did you have to wait, or?
It was,
Did you talk to anybody about what happened then?
Yeah, we had to talk to, I believe a police officer came that day, and we talked about that. Not that many people. I know Tim's first sergeant at the time, came and talked to us and see if we needed anything. But it was all kind of such a rush. We had to find out what kind of plans we'd make because we knew we had to fly back home. And we were trying to get money and get things together. And, it was just a big mad rush for the next 3 or 4 days. I'm not even sure how many days after she died we left. I don't remember.
Did you call anybody and talk to anybody while you were right then?
I can remember calling, or I had to call work because I was off of work and told them that she had died. And
now, who told your family all this? Who told your family what happened?
I didn't. I want to say maybe Tim did. I'm not sure. Because the only person they would have called would have been my grandmother, and she would have taken over from there, calling the rest of the people. But I didn't, so I don't know who did. I know I can remember calling at work, and then I also called the kid, this babysitter who had watched him in Hawaii, to let her know. And as far as I can remember, there's only 2 people that I called because, we didn't know that many people yet, and the friends that we went to school with were in the apartment with us at the time, so. But I don't remember calling the parents.
What did the doctors tell you about the death?
Well, we never actually talked to the doctors. We went ahead and flew home, and they said that her body would be held back there till they did an autopsy, and then she would be sent home for the funeral. We had the funeral, and we were home. We stayed in Hawaii for a month, and got back. And when we got back, there was just a piece of paper in the mail, I guess from the coroner's office. I'm not sure who it was from, just saying that she had died of SIDS. And so we never actually talked to any doctors or anybody or anything like that.
Has it sparked any interest on your part about what SIDS is all about?
We did some reading afterwards, and the only thing we could, this was on our own, the only thing we could come up with is it's something that people can't explain. It's just something that happens, and we were kind of frustrated because we always felt that maybe there was something else wrong, and this is our opinion, that SIDS is a way to say, well, we can't find anything else, so let's just diagnose as it SIDS, and that's the way we felt about it. But we never really got into that much literature because it didn't seem like there was that much available at the time to look into.
How about after Christina's death? Did you get more involved or more curious about what causes these sort of deaths?
Well, we didn't really relate her death to SIDS because they told us that she had that apnea problem. So we didn't really consider it SIDS for that matter.
Do you know what causes apnea or what apnea is?
Apnea is just where they stop breathing. Because we had to go through, the CPR and the training for the monitors each time and all that. But because they were determining, what they told us when we left Children's and said that they were...
You know that apnea is not a disease, don't you? Mm-hmm. Apnea is just a medical term for ceasing breathing. Mm-hmm. But you didn't think that... What do you think caused Christina's death?
Well, we always thought that it was due to... I forget what they call it now. It's like a reflux problem they were saying that she had because Adam had it, and he was constantly spitting up, and we had to elevate his bed and things. And they were telling us, well, when the hospital called back from Children's, telling us they wasn't going to do an autopsy, that they knew, what it was, and they were talking about the reflux problems, and them saying that she had respirated her milk back down into her lungs. We just assumed that's what happened, and that's what killed her and stopped her how to just stop breathing.
I've looked at the autopsy on Holly and the death investigation summary on Christina. And Christina's, especially some of the things you told me right now, are not things that are written in the death summary. that they examined her lungs and there was no fluid aspirated.
No, when we got to Patterson, I can remember the doctor coming and telling us that he was talking about pumping a lot of formula out of her lungs and
It
things
should
like
have been
that.
written down somewhere, and it wasn't.
Oh, I don't know. I just remember when we were in the sitting in the waiting area, that's what he said, that they had, taken a lot of formula out of her lungs at the time.
So it seems strange. In fact, I brought a copy of that investigation here. We'll look at that in a few minutes and see if there's anything.